Hi, Scott Orlin with Cinema-Magazin. Well, movies are not dead. They're alive and well. They're just kind of going in a different direction. And one of the first ones out of the gate is Artemis Fowl. And I'm here with the star of the movie, Josh Gad. Josh, thank you so much for being here. Apparently, there are like 8 books in the series. How familiar were you with them?
Not at all. It took me being offered the role of Mulch to actually discover the brilliant series written by Owen Colfer, and I'm very grateful that I did. Growing up, I just wasn't aware of them. I was in college by the time that they came out, so it wasn't necessarily for my age range. But since becoming a part of the film, not only have I explored the books myself for the purposes of getting into the character, getting into the world, but also as an opportunity to share this incredible world with my own kids.
I can only imagine for you growing up in Florida that one day you would be part of this acting ensemble with Kenneth Branagh and Dame Judi Dench.
I know.
Talk about, you work together obviously in Murder on the Orient Express. How was this a different experience for you?
Well, both of them, both experiences are surreal in that anytime you're on a set with two people who have influenced you so greatly in your own life. To be frank, I literally studied Shakespeare in college by my teachers showing us videos of Judy and Ken. So it's always a surreal experience being on a set with them. The difference fundamentally between Murder on the Orient Express and Artemis Fowl, other than tone and the kind of film we were making, was Ken being exclusively behind the camera on Artemis Fowl compared to Orient Express, where he was both in front and behind. That was a different dynamic, and one that was so just as welcoming as the previous.
Actors are sometimes asked to step outside their comfort zone and play characters that are a little different themselves, and they love to do research to kind of find out, well, who am I? Where does this person come from? Where does one start when playing a dwarf?
Well, one of the things that we had talked about is we wanted to give Mulch a real sense of not belonging. And so he's sort of a half dwarf and, desperately wants to be like his brethren because he doesn't belong. He doesn't belong in that world. He doesn't belong in any other world. He sort of has one foot in, one foot out, and he's kind of an outcast and a pariah. So it was much more about that, in terms of the characterization. Early on, there were some conversations I had with Ken about voice that felt right for the role. For somebody who spends his entire life mining by using not a shovel, but his jaw, his, kind of consuming the earth, felt like something that would affect vocal cords, would affect his speech patterns. And so, it was identifying kind of those elements that would help bring the character to life.
What I love too about watching this movie unfold is that once again, we don't belittle children, that, we empower them in such a way that as adults, we think we're the only ones that can get out of an obstacle. And here you're saying, nope, a kid, somebody, just because they're smaller, they have the same ability.
That's right. I was talking about this earlier, but there's something about the movies that I was fortunate enough to grow up with, whether they were The Goonies, Lost Boys, The Explorers, Stand By Me, you name it. There was an element of, even the main characters in E.T., there was an element that the characters were asking you to match them as opposed to the movie desperately trying to speak down to the kids. And we haven't lost that entirely in film, but you've definitely seen an evolution away from those kinds of storytelling motifs. With Artemis Fowl, inherently you can't run away from it because Artemis is a genius. He's also a criminal mastermind. He's in many ways an anti-hero. He's holding an entire race of magical beings hostage in order to execute a plan to save his father. So that element of it feels really refreshing in a medium that I think has seen a lot more, more and more has seen kids portrayed as not on the level of the adults in the films.
You lead me perfectly to my last question for you, and that is, for those of you out there watching, in this pandemic, we're all searching for different forms of entertainment. Josh has kind of formed his own, and that is, first of all, he's taking part of my job away as an interviewer, so I resent that a little bit. But if you go to YouTube, and Josh, hopefully you could talk a little about you having these great rewinds. You're bringing back casts to some of these great movies. Why did you choose these movies, and is there a holy grail on your wish list of a cast you'd like to reunite?
Well, I chose these movies because they're the movies that influenced me. And, the whole purpose of my new series, Reunited Apart, is to raise money for COVID-related charities, charities like the Center for Disaster Philanthropy and Project Hope. And movies like The Goonies and Back to the Future are movies that brought so much joy into my life that I certainly hope and have seen firsthand that reuniting these particular casts are doing the same for so many others, and in turn allowing people to donate whatever they can. In terms of Holy Grail, I've kind of hit two of my Holy Grails already, so I feel very fortunate. There are some ones that I'm working on that are tricky to pull off, but watch this space. I think we have some fun and surprising movies to share shortly.
Maybe you can bring the cast of Frozen back together, Debbie.
Yeah, it's been too long.
Been too long. And just real quick, how do people access this? What is the website? Where do they look?
So they should go to my YouTube channel. It's simply joshgad at youtube.com, I think, or back there. Look up Josh Gad YouTube. It'll be on there. And it's in my social media profiles on Instagram and Twitter. And it is, again, I think that you are going to love it. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure to catch it. As
always, you've been incredibly generous and supportive. I thank you so much for taking the time to do this. The new movie is called Artemis Fowl, star Josh Gad. This is Scott Orlin. Till next time.
Thanks, Scott.